Professor Melly Mail, the Hood Postman, City, Hood, Click. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah. Lock the door on him. Lock the door on him. Hood Postman. Hood Postman. Reporting live. Reporting live. This the Hood Postman, come and check the program. You ain't from the streets, this is something you should know, man. Running from police, gotta grip the whip with both hands. Speeding down the interstate, please do not approach him. 40s in the fridge, got the caddy in the driveway. Get all out of my face, I don't wanna violate. Looked up in the mirror and I told myself, why wait? We took this shit worldwide, you only in 5 states. Came from the four corners with my 4 quarters. Showed them the style, then they stole on us. Times got wild, then they told on us. Dog, it was hard, but we had to keep it rolling. You ain't gotta ask, you know where to find me. I be in the back streets where it get grimy. It's just me and Mel, Rennie looking bride D. I be going hard till I'm in the 5 C's. Know the vibes. I'ma do it till I die. I ain't never switched sides. I ain't never had to tell a lie. Let's ride. Know the vibes. I'ma do it till I die. I ain't never switched sides. I ain't never told them no lie. Let's ride. Hood Postman. 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 Hood Postman.
Shout out to the Mailroom Nation, the Mailroom Goons. I am Professor Melly Mail, the Hood Postman. Be sure to click the notification bell, like, subscribe, and share. Drop a comment down below. So when this dope content hit, it's going to feel like it's the first in the 15th. Shout out to the amazing Marlena Williams, Mr. Brooks. I see you out there. What's good? Terrell, what's happening? What's happening? I see my loved one, David Washington. What's going on, loved one? How you doing, man? Glad to see you in there, man. Today we talking about our guy, our man, the guy that like, man, was the fearless one. That's what I'm gonna have to call him, the fearless one, Mr. Booboo, no other than Mr. Booboo himself. Mr. Booboo, born 1960, rest in peace, 1980. He grew up on a street called Chester. Oh, let me say this before I get going. I don't want to get going too fast. This is not a glamorization. It's not a glorification. This is an education. You can go anywhere in the world and catch the lies, but you come right here to get the truth. And the truth you shall receive. Before they had handguns, they had fair ones. You man up. Young soldiers, man up. Again, we're going back to Mr. Booboo, born 1960. Rest in peace, 1980. Booboo grew up on a street called Chester. It was Chester and Tucker. They used to call it Tucker Block MF. MFer. That's what they used. Tucker Block MFer. I don't use the language, but you guys get what I'm saying. That's what they call it. He grew up, he had a brother named Yogi. His bigger brother was Yogi. His brother up under him was Mr. Ranger, and his brother up under Ranger was Jelly, and had a sister named Cheryl. They was a close-knit family. They lived right there in the community. They was right across the street from Darren Scott, Simon. What's the other brother name? He just passed away. Apologize for his name. Skip my mind. Eho Scotty, and they lived right across the street. And to them was T Black and his family. Rest in peace, T Black. And Craddy Corner, other side was Murray Brumfield. You guys served Murray Brumfield. He was on here as that. Oh, his name was London. London, rest in peace as well. He's a Scot. So we got that taken care of. So let me say this, guys. If there is such a thing as impeccable cripping, Booboo's behavior and performance was in accordance with the highest degree of what a Crip was. I'm going to say it again. His performance was in accordance with the highest degree of what a Crip was. Let me explain. My light went out. Need my light. This guy, his Crip attire was every day. Every day I'm cripping. It's like Rick Ross. Every day I'm hustling. This guy, every day I'm cripping. The beanie, he had the beanie. I used to call him the steel beanie. The one that stand up on your head, looked like it had like a whole can of starch in it. Khakis, Pendleton, or either waistline leather jacket, crocus sacks, wallabies, brownies, or either the gloves, the black gloves with the fur in it, blue rag with a screwdriver tucked in behind the pocket, back pocket, right side. This was Booboo attire. And if he didn't have that, he had that 25 wrapped up in that blue rag in his pocket. Stay heated, stay ready. Just was how can I say it? He was a shooter. I can't put it no other way. He was a shooter. If he got you in his sight, he was like more than likely to do you some harm. There's no other way to explain it. There's no other way to put it. But Mr. Booboo, let me give the wisdom before I go any further. I'm keep throwing myself off by getting ahead of myself with some of the stuff I'm saying. But at the same time, we got to give the wisdom for you guys. Shout out to you guys for being here and having your patience to go through some of the things I go through. Here's the thing. Here's the wisdom, right? Coward's courage. A coward's courage is increased within the distance. The further he or she gets from his opposition, the more courageous they become. That's the wisdom. The further they get away from the opposition, the more courageous. We're living in a time of social media where the thumb thug in the thumb thugs battleground. Thumb thugs, you know what they doing. They only but you never see them, right? They so far away. They live in Lake Elsinore. They live in Barstow. They live in Vegas. They live in all these other different places, but they don't live in the city. That's my point. But coming back to Booboo. Booboo, boy, I miss that guy. I could say this about Booboo. Some of his closest people that he ran with on a daily basis was Ant, he rest in peace now, Dean. Now, the other people on the other side, what we refer to as the opposition, people that they was opposing this position that Booboo was coming from. He was a thorn in their side. They couldn't stand it. Was Booboo. They would talk about who was that white boy with Booboo? Who was that white boy with Booboo? Because Dean did all the driving. He had the 64 Chevy with the primed up 64 Chevy, did all the driving. He grew up on the street called Oaks, which was around the corner, maybe up close to Long Beach Boulevard, right across the street from Burdock Maurice. And down the street was Snag, and across there was Karate Man, Anthony Maddox. Okay, so he grew up on that street. So Dean, same thing. If you saw Dean, you saw Boo. They both looked the same, except one was black and one was white. The same khakis, the same jacket, the same brownies, the same beanies. They would be in that 64 back, just creeping down the street, doing what they doing. And Raider would be, Raider was a part of that faction. And Squab actually was be with them from time to time. So they got into a pretty good, quite just a understanding of what it took to be a Crip. And there was such a thing as, like I say, there was such a thing as impeccable Cripping. His behavior, Boo-Boo's behavior, was well in with the performance and the accordance of what a Crip was. And you had to know him to understand exactly what I'm talking about. When he first, at a young age, he wound up going to, I think it was YA when he first, this is the first time he touched bases with Rockhead. Rockhead was one of the first ones when he wound up in camp. Booboo was already there. And when Rockhead got in there, Booboo pretty much put everything he needed to put in Rockhead for Rockhead to become part of why Rockhead became Rockhead was because he was there with Booboo, and Booboo laced him at that point in YA with everything he needed to survive that circumstance, and Rockhead became a beast up in them stoops, up in the prison. And part of that came from Booboo himself. Booboo, what was fascinating about Booboo, he bought his first house. And this probably even unheard of. I think it was like 78. Booboo bought his first house in 78. He had to be about 18. So he was far beyond what a lot of people would have been at that age. He was already thinking grown man stuff. He was already acting according as a grown man. And his dad, Mr. Hall, had got Yogi. Let's see, he got Yo, Boo Boo, Ranger, Crip Doctor, and maybe a couple of others a job. That's what Todd Shipyard was like. Man, Top Shipyard was they was putting out them heavy checks. You probably couldn't even get a bigger check nowhere other than Top Shipyard during that time, doing that 70, 79, 80, 81. They was they was really hiring, but you had to know somebody to get in there. And Mr. Hall, I think he was like a foreman over there. So he made sure all his sons got in there, and they was really, they did quite well in there. And which kind of slowed Boo Boo up a little bit, but still, Boo Boo never abandoned his what I would say his roots. He never abandoned what I would say his loved ones or his homeboys, because if they needed him, he would come through. He was like really real for real. He was a thorn, man. He was a thorn. There was a dude that's well respected over there that lost their life playing, they're playing with Boo Boo. And there's no need for me to bring his name up or anything like that. But yeah, he lost his life behind that. And, and I'm not going to, mention the name because it makes no sense to do all that, because it only stir up old feelings, and people misunderstand what it is that I do, because again, this is not a glamorization, not a glorification. This is the education in regards to what our kids, we don't want our kids to fall into. We don't want our kids to fall down the rabbit hole, and we want our kids to be better than what we were during that period of time and everything that was going on, So again, if you think about Boo Boo on an everyday basis, every day he was cripping, regardless to how much money he had, regardless to how he bought the house and all that. That's just what he believed, and it's not necessarily, it is unfortunate, because I think he had a lot more to give us than what he gave at that point. It's just my understanding of it, and he was just a guy that was beyond his time. And if you was with him or Baby Crip, either of them two, you was doing two things. You was fighting or you was in a shootout. Simple as that. If you was with them two, those two situations was finna happen. Now, Boo Boo wasn't a real fighter, but he didn't turn none down either. So you can believe that. And some of the people, that was around there that knew who he was and knew what he was about, they felt who he was, regardless of what anybody else say. I'm telling you from my position and my understanding of things, I saw other words. It was my perception and experience of what that reality was. I'm just interpreting it back to you. It's like theater of the mind. The theater that I saw play out within my mind, I get to interpret it back to you based on the chronological time in which these things occurred. And Boo Boo was one of those guys that just stood out. I'm talking about every day. You see him, you wouldn't even second guess what this guy was about or what he was capable of doing. And for that, I just had to, memorialize him in a way that where you guys got to get a bar of who Boo Boo, because a lot of people won't be able to talk about Boo Boo because they probably either wasn't there, or they didn't live in the hood at the time, or and this don't take nothing from nobody, not at all. And what I'm saying, there's periods of times, like there was the 70s, there was the 80s, there's the 90s. Like, I can't really speak on what happened in the 90s, not like that, because I was doing something different. Now the 70s, I got them 70s. I got them. In the 80s, I was around, you know what I mean? But I wasn't banging or nothing like that, but I was around, I saw what was happening and what was going on. So I can speak on those things. And it wasn't because, because a lot of people, they go to prison and why, and they wind up in prison for quite a deal, some time, and then they can only speak upon their prison, because a lot of people regardless of what I'm saying now, a lot of these people had prison reputations, and we got to be able to distinguish the two. A prison reputation versus a street reputation. And I'm not saying either one is better than the other. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying, some people like to like put themselves in both, but when they're more of a prison guy than they are a street guy. Because I was having a conversation with a couple of guys about certain people that feel that they were on the red team. They feel like they should have been number one in my putting thing, but that's okay. I mean, they did what they did, and I'm gonna let Baba Louie explain that, because Baba Louie actually did a reaction to that. So, and I don't want to get off on another tangent on this, but yeah, we're gonna talk about that as well at some point. That's going, that's just Baba Louie, hopefully we'll be able to get him up and he'll be able to talk about. But back to Booboo. Booboo, the crazy part about it, when Booboo actually was out there, and he had his girl, he had his house, he had his job, he had a new Cadillac, um, was doing well, and one of the reasons why a lot of the Oaks Park boys really moved over to be and said, okay, now let's go ahead and sew this up and embrace the whole pie. In other words, when I'm saying embrace the whole banana, the whole banana pie is Santana, right? It's because the loss. Because if you lose Boo Boo in 80, you lost Bullet in 78. You lose Boo Boo in 80. Both of them was from the Oak side. Bullet was from the Oak side, and Boo Boo was from the Oak side. You lose both of them. It just didn't make no sense for us to carry on divided and not move as one big unit, and that forced us, really forced the rest of them to embrace the rest of the Santana. When the other people were still claiming Oaks Park, it didn't make sense for that to continue in that sense, and that was one of the reasons why. And you would listen to Rocky, he talks about Boo Boo quite a lot, and he'll tell you himself when he was in that YA that when people was trying to question his cripping or his credentials or where he's from, it was Boo Boo that jumped up. I'm talking about, and these are some well-known top of the food chain Crips that was, trying to question him, but it was Boo Boo that walked up to him and faced him down and told him, no, this is my homeboy, right? What you talking about? It's because because some people don't know something don't mean it's not real. It's just that you weren't in that circle of knowledge. And that's sometimes I have a problem with people that spend a great deal of time in prison, and they try to interpret the streets in a way from a prison perspective. You've been in prison all this time, but yet you gonna tell me what's going on out in this world. I don't think so. I don't think so. Right string, wrong yo-yo. That's just the way that is. So as to the prison part, you can tell me about that, and I'll go with it. I'll go with it, definitely. And this is not to anyone. Don't think that I'm targeting anybody or saying this to anybody. It's just generalizations. There are such things as generalizations. Other words, I'm speaking in general. It's not. So don't nobody run and say, hey, Melly was saying this. And don't do that, because you only stir something up that's not there. Because we both know, all of us know that There was guys that was on the streets, and there was guys in the prison. Those guys was in the prison was very vital to some people's survival. Just like when Rocky had landed in the YA, Booboo was there, and we don't know what would might have happened, what would have went on if Booboo hadn't have been there. Is what I'm saying, because he understood that life a little better than Rockhead at the time, because it was Rockhead first time. Booboo was able to walk him through it and give him everything he needed to go on to be the Rockhead, the Joe Rockhead, the crazy Joe Rockhead he is, and then on to the guy he is today. So that came from Booboo. Oh, Fly Chefin. Oh, that's my guy. What's going on with you? What's going on? Yeah, I see you tapped in there. I was just looking at that thing you did a while back with me and Big Devil. I was gonna reach out to you and see if it was okay if I put it on my channel. Just let me know. Hey Cynthia, how are you today? There's plenty of boo-boos out there on the street. Salute to the room. Yeah, I mean, of course it is, but hey Michelle, he was like the first one, Ivy Hill, West Side Hoover. Peace, family. What's going on, Hoop? Yeah, how'd you enjoy Big Hoop, man? Yes, he worked a job and bought a house in the hood. How smart was that though? You know what I mean? He at an early age he understood that buying property and owning a piece of property in the neighborhoods that you grew up in was important. As a matter of fact, he bought a house with a pool. It was right there on the corner of Pearl and Peck, red brick home. I remember Tracy and Angie Smith used to stay at that house. Yeah, yeah, there was a lot of guys that was in jail during the '80s during the whole drive-by shooting era, and they were, they're not able to give clear understanding. All they could do is give like secondhand information to that. What side are you and Baby Gangster from? I'm from both sides, bro. I'm from both sides. Facts. Boss Claus, what's happening, man? How you doing? I'm from both sides. How did your hood get its name and flag color? It got its name from, if you're referring to Santana, it got its name from Bullet. He got it off of Carlos Santana, the ultimate Santana. Shout out to Trap Star Jones. What's happening, man? He got it off the album. If you go look at the album, it got them nice colors, and it's going to say the ultimate Santana. And if you look at the hat that Turtle wears, it's the same writing across his hat. When it says Santana, that's the same writing on the album. So yeah, that's where the name come from. Carlos Santana on the ultimate Santana. As for the rag, I think he just wanted to be different. I think he wanted to represent his creation was his creation, because you got to remember when Bullet first created his first gang was the Cobras. In order to be in the Cobras, you remember those cone incense? You had to take the cone incense and set it on your arm. And shout out to my homeboy Greeny for telling me that part. Um, he was like the cone incense, and this is when he was on gold. And if you burn down, if you move, you couldn't be in this gang. But if you burned down and you stood there, cool, you was in, So yeah, I think Bullet definitely knew what he wanted and how he wanted. Bill Willis, what's up? What's love, Big Bill? Oh, what's up, Big Bill? What's going on with you, Bill? How you doing, man? Good to see you out there, man. I know you out there trucking. I'm in the truck right now. How you doing, man? Oh man! As soon as I saw that name, that's exactly what popped in my head. Man, is this Bill? That's right, professors. It's all Santana. It's all Santana. That's it. It's all Santana. You know what I mean? There was once Midtown, there was once Oaks Park, but now it's just Santana. We can talk about those things because difference don't mean deficient. That don't mean it's just different. It don't make it deficient at all. It just make it different. But what's ironic about it is the fact that we had the ability to pull together and become one unit because there was too many losses. There was too many people in harm's way. So in order to tone it down and be a stronger force, it came together. And when it came together, it was something powerful. And that's when you get the Kenny Wayne Johnsons. That's when you get the baby gangsters and you get the bad habits and you get the Mondos and you get the Peps and the J Dogs and D Dogs and Cruises and the Big Meebos and the BKs and all these different people and Rufuses. you get you get a lot of different people out of that. You get a lot of people. And that's just naming a few. You know, there was a time I got a picture with DJ, Terry Brown, I think Ken Tate, and Zabo. All four of them on the picture. Then I got another picture with Mad Nut from the Red House, Mad Nut, Lil Ronnie, JB, and rest in peace, and who else on that? Could have been DJ on that picture as well. So they was all, that's how we functioned back then. Whether you was from Red House or the Oaks Park, Tucker Block, or Midtown, there was a lot of different movement. There was a lot of moving around during that time. You like the channel? Appreciate you, man. Joe Farrell, how long did you stay Oaks Park before becoming? I was like well, let me say this. Oaks Park really lasted from about the stronger days of Oaks Park was 72, 73, 74, 75, right? By 75, that whole first generation were locked up for murders. They were locked up for assaults. They were locked up for countless of things. They had lost chocolate. Silas Cole was gone. And the rest of them was in prison. Curtis Patrick was in prison. Let's see. Who else? Johnny Jones, Robert Thomas, Duck, all them was gone. Gary Miller, all of them was gone. So they left the generation in which I'm from under there. AM Crusher, what's up? My homie was really, what's good? Let me see what he say. My homie was really about that life. Him and Bullet laced me, and I ran away from home and stayed in that house with the pool. Oh yeah, rolled with him in the blue '62 Chevy. Shout out to Melly Mel. Yeah, you right, Green. You right. So you remember that house with the pool, right? So yeah, so this is what happened when the first generation started going to jail, right? And this is way when the big scrunchies and the black Caesars and Al Greens and Darnell Miles, we call him D-Shot Glenn and Prescott, all these guys were gone. So it kind of left us open to try to figure out how we should move. You understand? And and that understanding wasn't necessarily clear. Because we only got to spend a brief time, because you got to understand when they first broke out, when Tookie and all these people were standing in Oaks Park on a daily basis and having these big old huge Crip meetings, when the Grandies came over to Oaks Park and all these, I'm talking about hundreds of dudes standing in this park. I'm talking about looking ferocious. They had the hats on, the earrings, the matches around the ace deuces, the Levi's, the khakis, the spinners, the Kangs, and the earring dropping all the way across, earring dropping down with the Kang with the two C's representing Compton Crip. When you saw that, you like, wow, this is something different, right? So when the park patrol started trying to rush up in there and get what they programmed, they realized they was overwhelmed. They couldn't handle it. Man, I seen the park patrol get out their car and get whooped right back into their cars because it wasn't enough of them. And I don't know at that time were they radios connected to local police departments. I don't know what that was, but it seemed like they would jump in their cars and boom, bounce. And then they'll come back with the rest of the police department, which was Compton F Troop. We used to call them F Troop. We had a couple of names for them, but F Troop at that time. You remember F Troop? Anybody my age, they know what F Troop was. It was like that clown. It was a army regiment, cavalry, and it was F Troop. It was funny, but anyway. So yeah, that was happening back then. So when those guys left, so now you got people like myself, you got Crip Doctor, you got Yo, you got Green who just spoke up just now. You got Dabo, all them is a little under us, but they right there. So they coming to their age and they looking like they ready to get busy. They ready to do what they gonna do. So the here's the thing. I always say PPP, proper instructions prevent poor performance, right? So we had to go through the poor performance stage. And once we went through the poor performance stage, we all kind of realized that whatever the big homies did was like kind of like not it didn't really help us because they left that stigma over us because they was fighting. Because I tell you, Booboo probably was one of the first guys I ever seen, man, to just go ham on somebody. He hit the dude in the nose with a four-way. The four-way jack thing, wow, cracked his nose wide open. And he was a Crip. You understand? I seen Booboo do that. So that right there kind of set a precedence that was like, everybody was like kind of riding with it at the time. I don't say it wasn't right, but I'm just telling you what happened. I'm just giving you the story to the incident. So when that left everything open. But at some point, everybody realized that we were more better if we come together. And that's when you get the turtles, and that's what you get the grins, you get the gangsters, you get myself, you get Killer Raider, you get a lot of people. I can't think of everybody's name, but if I miss your name, I apologize. But yeah, you get those people, and they help become the glue, the bad habits, the Willa Raiders, the Snoops, you know, and Hub and Harvey and all these different people. They was part of that. The Bebops, they all helped put it together, and it worked. It worked. Now people was running. And a lot of people say they built that bridge over the neighborhood so people can have safe passage. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just telling you, the bridge is still there right to the day, and nobody doing nothing right there. But it's a bridge. In the 70s, in the 80s, that bridge wasn't there. I think maybe it got there around late 80s. I believe so. Late 80s, yeah, they built it. Late 80s, early 90s. And the bridge would take you over Alameda and let you down, coming down by Willow, and then you had to catch that light and get by and get to where you was going. And I think that helped out for a lot of people. You know, it helped out a lot of people. And I don't know what the purpose of that. Maybe it was for the Alameda corridor. I don't know. Maybe it was for people to be safe coming through that area because there was a lot of gang banging going on in that area. A lot. So you got both sides of the streets. You got the Midtown side. You got the Oak side. You got these dudes now. They're not separated. They're not divided by a street, name, rag, or any of that. They all wearing black rags. They all saying the same thing. And they all on Rosecrans. And at some point, they start calling it Rosecrans Crippin'. And that happened later on. I'm not saying that was something happened during my time, but I'm just telling you what it evolved to. And we all know that a lot of the red guys are up and down that street. Benjamin Rob, when we came out to the streets in the 90s, I didn't know there was Santana Hood over there by Louis Burgers and Marathon. Yeah, that's all over there in the park and the cemetery. It got so bad over there, right? The funeral home, which is Adams, right, is on Palmer, right? That's actually a drive-through funeral home. A drive-through funeral home. In other words, they would put the body in the window, and you had to get in your car and drive through the drive-through to see the person and keep going. They didn't want you to hang out, stay there, none of that. That's just how bad it got. See, people don't want to talk about that, but that's a true statement. And they still got that window, that display window right now, although it's much calmer now. People can go stop and go inside the chapel, sit, and do what they need to do. But back then, it was drive-through. How many people know, how many neighborhoods got a drive-through funeral home? You know, show me that. So it was Louis Burgers, Marathon, and Gus Burgers. They used to tell you got to be tough to eat at Gus. Scar Wolf, right on, appreciate you. That was a saying. You got to be tough to eat at Gus. Because if you eating at Gus, Gus was on Rosecrans. So if these dudes come down Rosecrans, they gonna take shots at you. Simple as that. It ain't like they're not coming down there taking shots now. They see your butt out there with that black rag, and they know what. They ain't finna question it. They know exactly what you about and who you are. They finna bust. Simple as that. It's unfortunate. It shouldn't have been that way, but that was the set of circumstances that black people dealt one another. I'm gonna do a segment when it's gonna talk about little homie. It's gonna talk about they big homies. I'm gonna do something the big homies they may not like it, but they're gonna have to respect it. Did your big homie tell you the reason why you wind up in a 53-year-old war that you inherited? Did they tell you why? See, and once I start setting all that stuff out and breaking it down, it's gonna be a lot of people that may not like me no more, but that's okay. But real is real, fake is fake, right? Just like when I did the little thing about the booty, I gave the opportunity. If you got any disagreements about what I'm saying, my phone is open, my messenger is open, my DMs are open. You can hit me and say, "Hey, man, I don't like that." Okay, what you don't like about it? And then they could tell me what they didn't like about it. Then my next question is why are you defending it? That's my next question. So and so far I ain't got no calls about the booty man. they leave that alone, right? But no, it's just to me, I'd rather you guys know these things and be well informed versus not informed or underinformed, and because we had so much all them souls washed down the drain. Yeah, you're right. That's part of our problem. We hear, but we don't comprehend, or we don't listen, or we don't apply the information that's coming to us, or we don't fact check, we don't do data, statistics, figures, truth. That's where you want to be in the circle of life. What's behind the appearance is the reality, because people will show you one thing, but it'll be a whole nother reality standing behind them. And that's the reason why we had to talk about the boo-boos. If there was such a thing as the impeccable, Crippin, Boo-boo's behavior and performance was the accordance with the highest degree of what the Crip was. I can't put it no plainer than that. MIP, make it plain. He rests in peace now. I think he had a potential to be a great deal more, but that's what he believed, and that's what he lived. And people felt the pain. So when he lost his life, the crazy part about that is that it was over a bicycle. And the guy really actually shot Booboo based on Booboo's reputation. It wasn't like Booboo was just going over to see after the spot. I don't know if the bike belonged. I don't remember maybe Greeny can help me out on that, the circumstances, but the guy basically shot Booboo because of what he knew about Booboo. See, sometimes your reputation can precede itself and be so out there that people don't realize that it's been 5 years since you was that person. Now you're trying to live this life, and that's what we get so we misconstrue what's going on. Because am I the same person I was 20 years ago? Heck no. Am I the same person I was 5 years? No. Because you learn, you get information, you gather information, you evolve, and each day you want to be the best version of yourself. That's what life is about, becoming the best version of yourself. You don't want to remain in this stooped in this mush, this minutia. You don't want to remain there. You know, that's just the way I see it. But again, Killer Raider, rest in peace. And I think Ant might have got paralyzed before we lost Boo Boo. I believe that because he went out there with Dean somewhere up north, and he was riding a motorcycle or something. I don't remember what was it, a Job Corps or anything. I don't remember that. I don't remember what it was, but he was riding a motorcycle and he got paralyzed, and he wound up in a wheelchair. You know, this is another thing we don't talk about: the homies that commit suicide. You know many homies in my neighborhood that don't commit suicide? And we think we don't need no therapy. We don't think we suffer from trauma. And I'm sure my neighborhood is not. I'm just telling you what's on my side of town. There's people that's actually committed suicide. And I don't want to even go through the names of them because because I don't want their family to feel some type of way. I'm putting they people out there like that. But I'm telling you, it's way too many. Way too many. And they all for various reasons, but at the same time, the circumstances are the same. So we don't talk about that. So when are we as a people going to be able to talk about the things that's taboo, or the things that we know that's wrong in our community, or the things that we don't want our kids doing, but it's okay for the next black man? It ain't me, or it ain't gonna be me. It can't happen to me. Remember how we used to say that? Oh, dude got shot. Oh man, it ain't gonna happen to me. How is that a way to even look at things? Why would you even believe that? You know what I mean? Because every day you in the gang banging world, the social media is a thumb thug's playground, battleground. Social media has, because here's the thing: the streets died when the internet came alive. Hold on to that. The streets died when the internet came alive. Because go look at internet. I just saw my man Cowboy. He checked that dude brick, baby. Checked him today based on some of the stuff he said prior. You know what I mean? And what he said was real. I don't know nothing about Brick Baby. I see him on there. He's a youngster just talking and using social media to express himself, which everybody has the opportunity to do so today. And I'm not trying to get off in their business, but I'm just using that example, you know. Known bad TV getting on the action with Reggie Wright on Compton Crip cases. Yeah, I saw that. When the Midtown and Santana they became a force we had to deal with. We had to run that lights. We had to run that light at Santa Fe. Yeah, that became the get down, bro. But that's sad in a way though, because we all black people. Because if you think about it, if you take the name Pyru away, right? You take the name Crip away, and you take the blue rag and you take the red rag away, the people look the same. You wouldn't be able to tell who is who. If none of them said nothing, you know what I'm saying? You wouldn't be able to tell because they all look the same. They all behave the same. They all come from the same common sense, you know? He said, wow, that'll drive through funeral home. Oh, you missed that ice cream parlor? I do too, man. That dude had flavors that I ain't never heard of since. What was his name? What was his name? I can't even think his name. The mortuary is big business. You're right. Because every weekend, black people killing black people. The cemetery is full of black people killing black people every weekend. And yet, we're not taking account in what's going on in the world. The world is doing something totally opposite of what we're doing. We study annihilating one another, hating on one another, setting each other up for you got people that'll kill you over watch. Or they see you with some fake money. They think you got real money. That money to people, a lot of that stuff be fake. It's unfortunate. You going through that right now? You right on, D, man. Louis Burgers was your choice back then, Gerald? Yeah. Yeah, 53-year-old war. Mind blowing. What's going on, Dabo? It's my homeboy right there. What's up, Dabo? Now I gotta get my if I could get my homeboy Dabo on here, you think my memory is something. His memory is impeccable. Sometimes I have to call him to figure out who people is. He say, hey man, you don't remember that? Then I say, oh yeah, I do, Dabo. Dabo, he the one that created the dance in our neighborhood. It's called the Oaks. Fat man baking a pie. He got the pie. He get the pie. He is his. You'll see people. I see people all over doing that dance, and they don't even realize where it came from and who started. That guy right there, Dabo Washington. David Washington created that dance. It's called the Oaks. You see Bruno doing it all the time, and other individuals on on videos and music videos doing the Oaks. Fear is a mother. Yep, and that's right. Fear is a meta, and that's what ultimately got Booboo because dude was going on based off of Booboo's reputation, and Booboo was probably coming approaching on some humble stuff. I don't know, but I can't see Booboo. He had the job, he had the house, he had the girl, he had a nice house with a swimming pool, he had the lowrider. You know, he had everything. Everything was going his way. Why would he throw that away? He didn't throw it away because this guy thinking he still Boo Boo from 4 or 5 years ago. And that's what happens. Yeah, we lost a lot of homies, period, man. You know, I lost a lot of, homies because again, I lived in the 135s. I lived in the Prilla, over there for Prilla. Used to play up at Caponella Park, swim and play over there. I lived in Fruit Town. So I remember all those guys. Yeah, you're right. I don't know why people don't press Monroe. I don't know why people don't press thumbs up. I don't get it. I appreciate you guys going this. Go back out and hit that thumbs up. It only helps me. It is if you want to listen to what I'm talking about, or at least give me that privilege to you pressing that thumbs up. That should be automatic. It shouldn't be no I shouldn't even have to ask you to do that. Ajax, 30 years, rolling 60, just got out. Oh yeah, yeah, Pops. Big Doc. Big Doc was the man over there. You know, Wade. You don't think we wasn't watching Doc? You know, that's probably how a lot of us got where we was going, Green, because we watched Doc do what he did. Him and Big Man crossed the street. Yep. Then your Uncle Campy Doo, when Campy Doo came down there, yeah, man. So, Bill and Little Daddy, man, my guys. Bill was another one, can't say enough about him. There's so many homies that I gotta get to, in regards to them being man childs. I'm talking about dudes that you thought were kids, but really reality they thinking and their actions and their demonstration was that of a man. Even though you looking at them and said, damn man, he's just a kid. Nah, they was doing grown man stuff. And Bill was one of them. Little Daddy was another. They wasn't running around looking for no handouts. They created their own lane and carved it out well because they come from that. That was in their DNA. Green and them the only one I knew had a jacuzzi in their house. Back then. Out of the 3 hamburger stands you spoke about, which one was your favorite? My favorite was Gus Tough, and I'm gonna tell you why. I can go up there and order a Tanner burger. A Tanner. They had the meals was named after the Santanas. The actual menu, if you read the menu, they had a Santana special. So that's my favorite right there. What was the little Asian lady name? I can't think her name. Green, what's that little Asian lady name? Oh, you just going to kill Lady I Victory Killer Kev? Tina. Her name was Tina. Tina was her name. Tina. Remember Tina Green, Davo? Right. Yeah, I remember all them Brills, Winston Weaver, Terry Goodell, Doty, uh, Tomahawk. Let's see, P. Kelly. What's some of the other guys' names? Swig. Yeah, there's a lot of them, boy. They was some hard hitters over there. Booboo was everything, man. Booboo didn't bar nothing. Back then, free Big Sleep. Oh yeah, Big Sleep. Free Big Sleep. But Booboo was really, man, he really became a working man because that's what he seen his dad and mom do. You understand? I'm talking about the 70s. And because he passed in the 80s. See, so we talking about the 70s. So think about there was really no street pharmacy going on in the 70s. Other than people selling lovely and wet daddies. Y'all go in there and press them thumbs up. Get them likes up. You can inherit your parents' beat just like you can inherit your big homies beat. Same thing, bro. You said a mouthful right there, Ronald. And I ain't even got to my brother-in-law. I got to get to my brother-in-law, Ronald, my wife's brother. Rest in peace. Got to get to him, his contribution. There's so many contributions over there that you guys don't realize it until somebody memorialize one of these guys and just put it out there on the internet and just give a story and a background and how they navigated that neighborhood and what was their commitment to it and what they put into it, and then when you hear it, you be like, wow, him too? That's not even counting the Magoos and the Brunos. I'm talking about Lil Bruno Field and the Chop Chops and the Ninja Beans and Ben Savas and the New Bops. They ain't talked about none of them. Of course, the Kerwins and Alan Dees and Jeffrey Browns and what's his name? Jeffrey Blue brother. I can't think his name. Andre Brown and all them. The Pinky Oars, the Boo Oars, Teddy Hubbards, which I talked about last week. There's a lot of different people that fit into that equation that people don't necessarily talk about. Ballaron, there you go. Rest in peace, Ballaron. That's my brother-in-law. His brother is the original Karate Man. Karate Man, my brother-in-law, taught all the dudes in the Grandies how to do karate. I ain't talked about that yet. So I got a lot of content. It's just when I'm able to put it together and put it in, compartmentalize it and give it to you guys to where you get get a bite out of it. You get a meal from it. So it's just a lot goes into that sometime. Me dialing back my memory and like, okay, dang, I remember this, I remember that, I remember this, that. For me to carry out a whole monologue, because carrying out an hour monologue it's no easy feat. And shout out to the guys that do it. I see gangsters do it consistently every day. I can't do it every day. I see other people do it every day. And then, but I see Loco does it. Loco can carry a monologue every day. That's not easy, bro. Well, maybe because I work a lot too. I got, like Marlena say, I got 19 jobs. Man, yeah, I know, Key, but it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. 19 jobs. Remember that number again, 19. You guys ever listened to a guy named 19 Keys? Higher level of consciousness and understanding. If you guys get a chance, go listen to him. He breaks down that stuff real light. D. Carroll, right on, man. Appreciate it. Who were the hand guys? There was a lot of them, bro. There was Johnny Jones, first of all. Johnny Jones was probably biggest Tookie, but fast. He was like kind of bow-legged cat. Fast. Then there was Roy Scott. Then there was Nathaniel Fletcher, Snake. There was Silas Cole, Big Chocolate. And then, of course, there was Killer Wayne. Then there was Killer Bray. Darnell D. Shot Miles. Then you get down to the Yogis, and you get down to Karate Man. Well, my homie Karate Man, not my brother-in-law, Anthony Maddox. So it's a lot of different guys, And then we get down to the younger ages. We get down to my homie Greenie. My Green can throw. My homie Dabo. They can. Both of them can throw. They can cook and throw. Dabo will come over there, whoop your ass, and cook you a pot of chili beans with neck bones in it, and whoop your ass too. Yeah. Yeah, so no, it's a lot of different people, man. I couldn't name them all. They all was, in my eyes, they all hand guys. In my eyes, every last one of them, man, because every last one of them was necessary. Every last one of them was necessary, bro. I seen Snake get out. Snake was another bow-legged cat. And just his whole movement, when you saw him move and how he moved, you knew that. You know how you can see some people, the way they move and it just their whole way they carry something, you look at him, you say, man, that dude right there, you may not want to get in a fight with him. especially as you see him, he demo somebody, you know, just like he was more like a Sugar Ray Leonard. Rest in peace to Nathaniel Fletcher, aka Snake. He was like a Sugar Ray Leonard. He made it look good. Him and Killer Wayne, they make it look good. You know, they whoop you and make it look pretty. That's yeah, you don't get that too often. Yeah, so it was a lot of different people, bro. It's hard to name or narrow them all down. You know, Johnny Jones, JJ, he caught the first murder. He hit a dude up at Wade, I think it was 70, 71. Him and Doug Chester and somebody else. It was like four of them. They all caught. That's how Doug and them wind up in Factor Brookings out there in Bannon and Boys Home, you know, because they was part of that. Yeah, but they sent JJ to the pen, to the YA Youth Authority, and then he went to the pen. Then he got out. He was a monster when he got out. I'm talking about a monster. I see him knock somebody out, and man, I feel bad for him because they. You ever see somebody get knocked out and they pee on themselves? That's how hard he hit that person. They peed on themselves. But then we had the homie Donnie Wayne. Donnie Wayne can fight. He looked good. He was like Tommy Hearns, right? He made it look real good. He was good, but man, the moment you hit him in the chin, boom, he went down. He had a glass jaw. You ever seen anybody like that? I'm talking about can fight. What up? Mix him up, just doing everything. The moment you get one in, pow, he go down, man. But he never gave up. That's one thing I can say about Donnie Wayne. Donnie Wayne never gave up. Interesting when you see stuff like that. Yeah, Tank Davis, man. I don't know. That looked at that hit looked suspect to me, man. I don't know, but that now dude's saying that what he's saying that he had a secret somebody that was feeding him information because he was, you know, his body was already sore from going body. Man, if you got a big old fight like that coming, man, what is you doing fighting that hard before you filed your big fight? Not during our time. Not during our time. That stuff is relatively new, bro. That stuff didn't start happening until the 80s when homies started going over out OT and all that stuff. And then a lot of these guys didn't really pick it up until the 90s. A lot of the stuff you see is really new, you know, relatively new to when it started. But you never saw that in the 70s. That was mainly a West Coast thing because West Coast wasn't traveling to Texas and St. Louis and New York and Louisiana and all the other places that the Crip and Pyru wind up being. That happened in the 80s when dudes started going OT. You know what? I don't know what year it was built, but it's been there for some time, bro. I know that much. Because I'm 64 and it's been there ever since I remember. Because I swam in Wilson Park as a little kid. Like I swam in Roy Campanella Park as a kid. I was going to Roy Campanella Park at 5 years old, maybe even younger than that. But my memory of it is like 5 years old. Yeah, I kicked it with Sean. You talking about Prince? That's my guy. Oh, back in the 70s, yeah, they used to have a flag football up there. They also had baseball too. Yeah. My mother was in a women's softball league. Boy, Camelot Park used to have a women's softball league back in the 60s. and it was pretty big. They had a lot of team, women team, grown women. It was like a semi pro, something like that. Yeah. And my mother played in it. That's how me, my brothers, we wound up playing baseball because of my mother. We saw my mother do it. Oh, they don't take body blows. Well, okay. Yeah, yeah, that would be more. I'm like, I would say one and a half because I was right there with the first generation, bro. I was right there with them. Was I participating at the level they was participating? No, but I was right there. So I say one and a half. There was no squabbles back in my days with no Tanners, with no South Sides and no Atlanta. There was no squabbles. There was nothing like that happening, bro. Sorry. You got to move down to that era when that started happening. But that I never saw that. I'm not saying that it didn't exist. I just never saw it. Wasn't our thing. Well, I think I've been on here quite some time. I appreciate you guys that coming on and allowing me to break down some of these stories and introduce you to my homie Booboo, and you guys get a feel for who he was. Once again, rest in peace, Booboo. Rest in peace, Yogi. Rest in peace, Ranger. And a lot of these guys don't get it twisted. A lot of guys that pass don't necessarily pass from gang violence. They pass from natural causes as well. So, don't think that everybody, that passed that's been in a gang, they died from a violent situation. Some do, some don't. Right on, Davo. You right. I leave out Bay. I can't leave out Bay now. You right. Can't leave it. Can't leave him out. You right. You be leaving out Bay. Yeah, you right. No, Bay got a big old car part, half of them cats, man, keeping it 1,000. You right, Dabo. No, that's why I got you, Dabo, to keep me focused, to help bring me back into line. Don't never think I'm gonna take it personal, Dabo. I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna listen and I'm gonna line it up as it should be lined. You know what I mean? You my loved one. You can say anything you need to say to me, and yeah, definitely. But you know how I am. I'm not perfect, so if I miss it, you catch it. That's you, baby. You gotta understand it wasn't no Elm Streets, bro. I came later. I came later. There was Ludus Park. There was no Bob. There was none of that. None of that stuff. Even all the guys over there that you see claim treetop, most of their older homies that's over there, they all claim Ludus Park. They all like Sam Fountain, Ludus Park, man. Ronald Mosley, Tim Mosley, Frank Nitty, Tone, all them looters, man. Jeffrey Everett, they all came looters. So when you hear their names, don't just think about when you think about Pyru, right? And here's the thing, right? Although it started on the west, them dudes that put the heat and the fire to the long was the East Side Ludus Park Pyru. Now, somebody may differ with me on that. That's okay. They got the right to do so. But I'm telling you where that came from, bro. That's just because like I told them, like when I was telling them when I was interpreting Putin, right? And I was looking at the starting lineup. Now, to me, a Pyru can't say who was over there putting in all the work because they're gonna base it on their personal feelings. Now, me experiencing it, seeing this dude doing this, knowing that he gonna do it, I get a better interpretation of it because I was seeing him. I know that's him. I know he, you know what I'm saying? So what I'm telling you is that when I tell you that that guy Putin was like number one dude over there, I mean that. Now, however that unfold or however that unravel, that's just how it is. But here's the thing: Putin spent a lot of time with the East Side Pyrus, even though he's from the West. You know, the Ickies and the Savages and you know, you had Herman Jr. over there and Bojangles and them, but them first three I just named, Jimmy Cash, Butler, Icky Dawson, Putin Paru, Savage. Take a real good hard look at them dudes. Take a real good hard look at them. And I'm telling you, because I was on the Crip side, so I saw the level of commitment they had and the highest degree of what Pyru represented. They was bringing it. Now, if you spend X amount of years in prison and all that stuff, that's fine. You got a prison reputation. You don't have a street reputation. You got a prison reputation. That guy name got a street reputation. Don't take away from the next guy. It's just that his reputation was built in the prison, and this guy's reputation is built on the street. So know the difference. A shout out to my homie, baby. I hope he get out too. You heard anything, Dabo? Matter of fact, Babe. A lot of people don't know. I showed Babe what to do, Dabo, on the thing. You know what I'm talking about. When Babe first got started, when he didn't know nothing, I was the one that showed him. And then I can't leave this guy out too. He rest in peace. Uh, he was actually he lost his life from the Long Beach police, and that's Fred Benson. Fred Benson, another good guy, another man child. See, there's so many man childs. You can't leave them out. Can't leave them out, man. Then when you think about the fields, the chops, shout out to my homie George. He doing a life sentence. George Harris, Fred Hollins, rest in peace. Donald Gripper. Yeah, I get to name it, people. They both always make me remember people. My homie Snoop. That's the first one. First time I ever landed in the pen. My homie Larry Washington. We used to play Little League baseball. His dad, uh, big man, Mr. Washington, was the umpire up there. Me and Larry, we was on the Dodgers. Me, Larry, my brother Ange, and a host of others. We was all on the Dodgers. And first time I would get to pen. When I got there, Larry came over there. He realized I was there. Somebody told him I was up there. I was on the West Yard. First time I've been to Chino. I went to the West Yard. I'm thinking to myself, boy, this is some different stuff right here. Because they when I first get there, they take me to Palm Hall, right? So when I get there and they call child. So I never forget, I go in the child, I'm getting ready to sit down, and this dude, he was from Grape. He see me walking, right? He see me walking. And I guess he knew by the way my swagger was or the way I was moving, he knew what I was. He was able to read me. And he came on, he said, hey, homie. He said, where you from? And I told him. He said, come over here, come over here, cuz you don't want to be over there. And that's the first time I realized that, man, we got tables, we got special tables in this place. I'm green, squares a pool table twice as green, you know. And yeah, he like so they took me back to Palm Hall. And then they put me in this dude from Fruit Town because I know all the Fruit Town. They put me and him in the cell together. He was comfortable with it. I was comfortable with it. Because in actuality, we both like trying to figure out what this is, what we going through. Anybody that say they first time in prison, they weren't afraid or they wasn't scared or they didn't know what to anticipate or they wasn't concerned or worried. Anybody say that, they lying. They lying. Your first time, man, you got a lot to worry about because you around a whole bunch of individuals you never seen in your life, don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know. Just don't know. But anyway, I'm glad you guys were able. We got an hour 16 today. I appreciate it. Once again, I am Professor Melly Mill, the Hood Postman. You know the vibe. I got it dark in here. That's what it is. I knew something was going on. There you go. See, I had the light off the whole time. Didn't even realize I was in the dark. Y'all didn't even tell me. But anyway, I appreciate everybody coming and joining this chat, and hope you guys have a fantastic day. And as for me, I'm good. But my guy right here, he gonna say,
what do you mean by that?
And here go Lil Mimi. Lil Mimi, right?
We gonna get suited and booted, but first we got to come butt naked to the top. You feel what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Now, our traditional symbol in Compton Crip was the bald head, the chain and the cross earring. You know what I'm saying? That's how we knew who all Compton Crips were. You know what I'm saying? Because we had the bald head. You know what I'm saying? And the ace deuce. Now, our original symbol was two canes like this, where the gangster had at top, and the C's on the top, on the side. You understand what I'm saying? Crossed up. You know what I mean? That was our original symbol. And it was just so more beautified, man. With us being together, everybody was in fury of us like a motherfucker, man. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have no problems, man. Not in jail. Nobody trying us, man. You know what I'm saying?
There it is there. In the words of Mimi. In the words of Mimi. Professor Melly Mail, the Hood Postman, you know the vibe. Be sure to click the notifications and bell, like, subscribe, and share. Drop a comment down below. So when the dope content hit, it'll feel like it's the first of the 50.
Crip for grind all the time, baby.
Yeah. Cali Finders, baby. Crip for grind all the time. Music money. Got a dollar sign. Hub City. I'm a street nigga, streets fuck with me. I'ma keep pushing products till the fans get me. It's guap off top, diamond Cartier. That nigga wall won't give a broke bitch the time of day. They see me climbing, they see me shining. That's hard work, proof of grinding. New money got me tipping in that 550. I leave bad man and I'm so pretty. I got that tech with me, that's my hater sprayer. Go big, grind now, nigga, play later. What can I say? I'm addicted to this paper stacking. And I don't talk about it, I just make it happen. Word on the block is that my shit go. Freaks for the low.
Shout out to the Mailroom Nation. Marlena Williams, go ahead and lock the door because we are gone.